In our study yesterday, we spoke about the first angel and the second angel. We spoke about the messages that they have. And we also spoke about the United Nations. So I don't know if anybody's had any thoughts since yesterday. The United Nations. Is it the dragon power? Who wants to give a summary of what we said? Somebody? Erica?
Well, as we realised that they had really no power.
As we realise that the UN doesn't really have that much power.
Yes. And by that, thinking that, but how can it be dragon power?
Then how can it be the dragon power? Thank you. Anyone else? Liberty?
We discussed that the institutions within the UN are designed to do good.
We discussed that the institutions within the UN are designed to do good.
And the UN tries to implement those institutions.
And the United Nations is still trying to implement those directives.
The United Nations is
Still trying to do good.
And it's very limited because of the way it operates, democracy.
So democracy limits its capabilities of what it can and cannot do.
It is its weakness, not its faith.
I'm going to suggest it's both its weakness and its strength. It's its weakness because it can't do things. But the strength of democracy is that it's supposed to prevent dictators or bad agents rising up. Are we good with that? Thank you. So, if the UN isn't a dragon power, I'm not going to discuss it at this moment, but we'd want to consider who that dragon power is. And if you remember, I think Cobus gave us sort of a brief overview or a brief idea of what that dragon power could be. So we spoke about the first angel's message. We said that was Elder Jeff. The second angel's message. People seem to indicate that it was me. Just want to remind us that there are still people in the movement that don't believe that, by the way. I don't mean that to be provocative. I'm just stating that as a matter of fact, that it's not an established truth.
Ngikusho nje njengento eyiqiniso enjalo kodwa asimile kuyo sakhele kuyo.
Third angel, we didn't get to the third angel.
Sasesikhuluma ngento sesithathu.
Who do people believe that the third angel is?
Sikholelwa ukuthi ubani ngento sesithathu.
Elder Tess. Most people believe it's Elder Tess.
Umdala uTheza abaningi sikholelwa lapho ukuthi Elder Tess.
So let's see what the message says. So we're going to do what we did yesterday. Just read the verse that speaks about it.
Sizobheka nje sibone lokho okukhuluma ngalokho sifunda amavesi athile.
So in Revelation 14,
Isambulo sakhe seshumi nane.
verse 9.
Verse eshagalolunye.
And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any person worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God. Revelation 14:9, and the first part of verse 10.
Okay, so we'll have our Bibles, so everyone is reading on there. If we can read on our own Bibles.
Some people may not have one. Do you have a?
It's in English.
Can you not translate from that? You can paraphrase.
So about that.
The whole of verse 9 and the first part of verse 10.
Kwasekulandela ingelosi yesithathu isho ngezwi elikhulu ithi yilo naloyo oyokhonza isilo nomfanekiso waso futhi abukele uphawu lwaso ebunzini lakhe noma esandleni sakhe loyo uyakuphuza iwayini lolaka kaNkulunkulu olungaxutshiwe uyozwisa ubuhlungu omlilo kanye nesibabu phambi kwengelosi naphambi kweWundlu.
So how does those words tie up with Elder Tess's message?
Lawo mazwi ahlangana kanjani-ke nomlayezo kaMdala uThesa?
What did Elder Tess teach?
Ufundisani uMdala uThesa?
What is her message?
Uthini umlayezo wakhe?
Cobus?
I think she taught exactly Revelation 14.
Ngicabanga
You think that she taught Revelation 14?
Yes.
ukuthi ufundise isigijimi saSambulo 14.
She explained to us the mark of the beast.
She explains the mark of the beast.
Uchaza uphawu lwesilo.
I think it's more than that. I'm not going to go much into it, but she fulfilled that thing in every sense, I believe.
So you have to tell us a bit more detail.
Ngicela ukuthi usinike imininingwane.
So you said that she explained or defined the mark of the beast.
Uthe uchaza uphawu lwesilo.
Yep. So can you tell us what the beast is?
Sacela usitshele ukuthi ubani isilo
And what its mark is,
nokuthi yini uphawu lwesilo
as taught by Elder Tess.
njengoba kufundiswa uMdala uThesa.
The beast, she described, as I understand it, as United States of America.
So she said the beast was the USA,
Uthi isilo ke iAmerica.
That's the lamb-like beast that started to talk like a dragon.
so that was the lamb-like beast of Revelation 13? 12? 13. Revelation 13 that speaks as a dragon.
And it starts to speak as a dragon. Yes.
Isilo esifana neWundlu kodwa bese sikhuluma
She also identified what he will speak.
She identified what it will speak.
What it will speak. Yes.
Okay?
Ubesa aveza nokuthi sizothini lesilo.
And what's the mark?
The mark is, I'm going to just call it equality. It's human rights in one sense as well, but I'll embody it in equality.
Okay? So I presume you mean lack of equality?
Lack of equality, yes.
Yes.
Uma ngicabanga ukuthi ukhuluma ngokulingana.
Anything else?
Uphawu lesilo.
All good?
That's fine.
Okay, so it's that part of her study that you picked up in the verses that, for you, tells you that she's the third angel.
Kusho ukuthi leyo ngxenye yesifundo othe wayithatha wasubona ukuthi ikhuluma ngalezo isigidimsekelo sesithathu.
Justina? Speak a little bit louder.
She gave us the history of the counterfeit in the USA.
She gave us the history of the counterfeit. Which counterfeit is that? Oh, wait there.
Usinikeze umlando we-counterfeit. Yimuphi lowo mlando we-counterfeit?
So she talked about the papacy and the history from the 1260s all the way up to our time.
So she taught us about the papacy and said it's the counterfeit.
Usifundiseke ngobupapa wasethi iyona i-counterfeit leyo.
Is that what you just said? So did Jeff, so did I, so did dozens of other people before her.
Amen.
Umdala uJeff nami nabaningi futhi abafundise nabo.
And she went into the history of the Protestantism in detail.
I've got earbuds on today, so I can't hear you that well.
She then went into the history of Protestantism.
She went into the history of Protestantism.
Bese wayemlandweni wobuProtestanti.
Which history is that?
From the 1700s all the way to our time.
From the 1700s to now.
Kusukela ama-700 kuze kuzofika manje.
And what does that mean?
And then
Kuthini lo?
she was tracing the history of America so that we can be able to identify what America was back then and what it has become now.
So she gave us a commentary on the history of the United States, how it has fallen. I think that's what you're saying.
Usinika umlando we-America ukuthi isukela kuphi kuze kufike la khona seyiwile khona.
So you switched from the papacy to the United States.
So ubupapa wasuya kwi-America.
When I first made my sentence, I said she gave us the history of the counterfeit and USA.
Okay, I didn't hear that bit. That's why I asked you to repeat. So, the history of the counterfeit,
Umlando we-counterfeit.
she just refined what was already taught.
Ubese ethosakalisa nechaza kahle ebevele kade kufundiswa phambilini.
And the history of the USA, she just refined what was already taught.
Umlando ne-USA bechazisisa okade kuvele kukhona.
And then in our time, she showed us where the USA is and how it's developing into, how it's beginning to speak as a dragon.
So she showed us how the USA is beginning to speak as a dragon.
Usibonisa umlando ukuthi i-USA isukela kuphi izikhuluma njengodrago.
Which is what Elder Jeff did.
Okuyilokhu nomdala uJeff akwenzile.
And where's all that in these verses?
Sithola kuphi konke lokhu kulama verse.
Speaking as dragons and things.
Ekhuluma njengodrago.
Do you want me to read the verse back to you?
I'm trying to remember it, that's what
I'll read the verse?
Yeah, sure.
Because it doesn't mention dragons. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God.
So when you speak of the beast and its image, you go back to Revelation 18, which then takes also to the dragon.
So we've got the beast and the image.
sinesilo siphinde sibe nomfanekiso waso.
And she said she taught you what the beast was and what the image was. Taught us.
Usifundise ukuthi ubani isilo nokuthi yini uphawu lesilo.
She defined them.
Wachaza lokho.
I don't think she explicitly said that this was the beast or this was the image.
So she didn't tell us who the beast and the image was.
Angicabangi ukuthi usitshele ngokusobala ukuthi ubani isilo nokuthi yini umfanekiso.
But she's going to warn you not to get their mark.
Kodwa usixwayisile ukuthi singawamukeli umfanekiso.
And you said, who are they? So I can avoid their mark.
And then sasibuza ukuthi obani ukuze sizogwema ukwamukela lo phawu.
She didn't explicitly say, but you can deduce from her messages that if you compare to what Ellen White was saying, she's sort of applying that in a way.
So she didn't tell you who the beast or the image was, you worked it out yourself?
Kusho ukuthi azangatshela ukuthi ubani isilo nokuthi yini uphawu, futhi uziphethele wena wasuthi kuyilokho.
I think that's the definition of deduction.
Ngicabanga ukuthi ukuyisusela lokho bese uyiphethele.
That's what I had to say.
Okay, in your deductions,
Phetheni kwakho
because she didn't tell you,
ngoba akazange kusho
who's the beast?
ubani isilo.
You just check on the board, someone else has already defined what the beast is.
Singabona ukuthi bona ukuthi yethelele ubani isilo.
What are you saying the beast is?
Ungathi ubani isilo.
I think I'll pass for now. I just need to get my thoughts together. I can come back to it.
Okay, she's going to pass, which is fine.
Uzothi ukuma okwamanje kodwa alright.
I don't mean to put you in a hard spot, but Elder Tess is supposed to be in the hot seat.
Angiqondile ukuvalele efonini kodwa umdala uThezo kumele vele nabe lapho.
And you're supposed to be advocating on her behalf.
Wena kufanele nabe uyamlwela vele.
And you just said she didn't tell you.
And then uthi azama kutshela.
You have to work it out yourself.
Kufanele wena uzibonele ukuthi uphuma kanjani.
And you didn't.
And awukhonanga na ukuphuma.
I'll work it out. I just need to get my thoughts together.
That's fine. But it's leaving it a bit late to work it out.
Asikubekele nje iyamuva so bese sibheka futhi.
Someone had their hand up over here. Who had the hand up? Milton.
According to verse 9,
Verse 9.
she did something like we had an old understanding of what a mass is, which was the Sabbath, and she moved us to understand that the mass is not the Sabbath.
Okay, so she took the word mark.
Uthathe igama elithi uphawu.
Okay, so I'm going to... So I put question marks here. So the third one. So now she takes the mark, and she said the mark was what before?
Ubese wathi uphawu loluyini ke olwani.
We had an understanding that is to do with keeping the Sabbath. All along from Ellen White to Adventist.
Can I call it Sunday?
Yes.
Yeah. So she said the mark is Sunday.
Uthi ke uphawu usuku lesonto.
And then she says, not anymore?
Yes.
Bese ashintsha athi akusenjalo.
Yes.
That's all?
Phelele lapho.
She didn't tell you what the mark is?
Uthi uphawu yini.
We can put different type equality. I think
I'm not saying that's the right answer. I'm just saying someone else said it was. They said the mark was equality.
Angisho ukuthi right answer kodwa ngithi khona oluthile okushilo lo.
I'm asking what you think Elder Tess said.
Ngibuza ukuthi ucabanga ukuthi utheni udala uThezo.
in my summary, I think the market is
Patriarchy.
Ngicabanga ukuthi ngowami umbono uphawu ubunhloko.
So the mark changes from Sunday worship to patriarchy.
Kusho ukuthi uphawu luyashintsha osukwini lesonto bese kuyoba ubunhloko.
So if you, in the past, if you, in a certain time period, if you worshipped God on Sunday, kept that as your day of rest,
So esikhathini esindlule uma ukhonza uNkulunkulu ngolunye usuku
you'd receive a mark.
ushuthi usuwamukela uphawu lesilo bangasili isabatha leyo.
And now, if you practice patriarchy, you'll receive a mark.
Manje mawenza ubunhloko uhambisana nabo kusho ukuthi usuwamukela uphawu.
Okay? Who gives the mark?
Ubani onikezela ngalo uphawu?
Who gives you this mark?
Ubani okunikeza lo uphawu kuwe?
I'll give you two options.
Ngizomnika okubili ongakhetha kuwo.
The world or God?
Umhlaba noma uNkulunkulu.
The world.
Okay, we all agree with that?
Umhlaba.
Yeah? The evil powers give you this mark.
Siyavumelana nalokho kusho ukuthi amandla omnyama akunikeza lo uphawu.
Okay with that, Elder Russell?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
Oh, you mean patriarchy?
Forget patriarchy. I said, who gives you the mark? Everybody lines up and you get a marks, either in your head or on your hand. And I just ask, who gives it to you? Who's the one with the stamp? The world. So you agree. Anybody disagree? Sorry? Elder Gracious, you go ahead. You don't disagree or you do agree?
I agree and also I want to add.
Sure.
So there are two marks, the mark of the beast and then the mark of God. So for patriarchy,
There are two marks, the mark of God and the mark of the beast.
so the mark that is good, that leads to, okay, the mark that is of God is the one that leads to salvation, and then the one of the beast, which is patriarchy, which leads to destruction.
So the mark of God leads to salvation, you said? And the mark of the beast leads to destruction. And which mark are we talking about in these verses? The mark of the beast, not God. Everybody okay with that? Often, sorry, yeah. Often we call the mark of God something else. We used to call it the seal of God. Ellen White used to jump through some logic to make the seal the Sabbath. Which it really isn't. But that's what she wanted to do. Okay, so is everybody okay that the mark used to be Sunday and now Milton has used the word patriarchy, you might want to use another word. Kobus used the word inequality. So I'm not trying to labour which word you want to use. So are we all okay that Elder Tess spoke about the mark and redefined it from Sunday to, we'll just say, the subject of equality?
kodwa uletha ukuthi uphawu kaNkulunkulu ukulingana.
And the cultural practice that does that is called patriarchy. That's why Milton used that word.
No, ukuthi ke lokho kwenziwa amasiko kubizwa ngokuthi ubunhloko. Siyasabiza kanjalo.
Erica?
I just want to bring out something. To get the mark, you have to follow a message. And this is where I want to bring the two streams of information in, what you also brought to the front.
So to receive the mark, you have to
Follow a message.
You have to follow a message, and as soon as you start thinking about a message, then we talk about two streams of information.
So ukuthola uphawu lolu kwamele uthole umlayezo othile lapho sikhuluma ngendlela ezimbi zokwamukela ulwazi noma information.
Do you think it's okay if an angel makes a statement they take some symbol and they tell you what the symbol means, and then someone else stands up and says, that's good, angel, but I think that symbol can also mean something else. Then the angel says, don't hijack my message. Do you think it's okay to do that for this member? To redefine a previous symbol? Okay, was he saying yes? Erica?
I don't have enough information to say, but if that person, that member, comes and says, I disagree with you, Angel, about your...
Don't disagree. I agree with your definition. I just want to add something.
If he adds to it, to enhance the angel's message, no problem.
Okay, but the angel doesn't think it enhances it. That's the problem. So, has anybody else got any more comment? Elder Gracious.
Okay, so all along, okay, we can also address the study. I thought I was seeing like that somehow that has been happening.
So you've seen somehow that happens.
Yeah.
So, am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed to meddle with Elder Tessie's message?
I think when we were discussing the angels and their messages,
When we're discussing angels and their messages...
we all agreed that...
One second, he needs to translate.
We all agreed that the angel is to protect, one of their duties is to protect the message.
We all agreed beforehand, this is why I'm asking the question, that the angel has to protect their message.
And also protect the sheep.
Protecting the message is protecting you.
So in that sense, then we can also agree that the angel is okay, is alright.
So we can all agree that the angel is okay, but this is part of the problem. So two streams of information. Who brought that idea to the movement? Erica, you spoke about two streams. You said if you could receive the mark, you have to have a message, and with the message you have to have two streams. So who taught us all of that?
The words, two streams of information was brought in by, I think, by Elder Tess.
Okay, so Erica said Elder Tess. And Jacobus is going to just give us the name. Elder Jeff.
Umzala wami igama laNdlela Jeff.
So Shafika, you agree with that?
Khona wamzala nako lo.
Tell me when Elder Jeff spoke about two streams of information.
Ngabe umdala Jeff wakhuluma ngendlela ezimbi zokuthola ulwazi.
Use different words.
Oh, she's going to do it. The Time of the End magazine.
Isikhathi sokuphela imagazine
I don't know
esikhathi.
the year. I'm not sure.
Forget the year.
Yes, so you spoke about the two
The Two
rivers.
Rivers.
Imagazine lena isikhathi sokuphela ikhuluma ngemfuyo embili.
So Elder Jeff speaks about two rivers.
Umdala uJeff ukhuluma ngemfuyo embili.
Do you remember the names of the rivers, Jacobus?
Yakhumbula amagama lemfula.
Euphrates and
Oh no, they can't do Euphrates.
Kwaba Euphrates.
It's Euphrates and Tigris, but we can't do that.
I can't remember.
Okay? Let's help him. The Uli and the Hiddekel. Okay, so someone said, whoever it was, oh, Elder Jeff had two streams of information. Look at that. And the problem is, at that time, Elder Jeff, I'm going to say, was being influenced to not accept Elder Tess's message. Or maybe he had some prejudice against the message. I don't know. So we all said, look, Elder Jeff spoke about two streams. And he said, don't touch my rivers. Don't turn them into media streams. I define them as something different. So I just want to point that out. Okay, so we've discussed the mark. And are we all sure that Elder Tess has spoken about the mark in a very specific way? We okay with that, Justina? We don't have to work it out ourselves. In fact, we're not allowed to, because that would make us angels, which is a different model. She's going to tell you don't get something. She has to tell you get it from whom and what it is. So if we're happy that she's defined the mark, then we have to discuss some other components. Before we do that, Elder Tess gave the midnight cry message, I think. Yeah, we all agree with that? What is the midnight cry message? What is that? Go speak the issue.
There's a call made that the bridegroom is coming at midnight. It's a wake-up call.
It's a wake-up call. Anyone else? And the message is what? Jesus is coming. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's, I'm using the midnight cry and said the bridegroom is coming. It means everything is now in process for him to come. He's coming. He's not yet there, but he's coming.
So, in the parable, When the cry is given at midnight,
uma ukukhala kwasebusuku kunikezwa
can they see the bridegroom?
bayambona umyeni
They can't see the bridegroom?
bakhona ukubona umyeni
Then how do they know he's coming? They can't see him.
kodwa bebazi ukuthi uyeza kodwa bebengamboni
Because I hear a message is coming. I heard a voice, only a voice, which is then, for me, is a message.
So the person who gives the cry heard a message.
so umuntu loyo onikeza nokukhala uphethe umlayezo
Who was giving that message?
ubani unikezwe loyo mlayezo
Someone in the bridegroom's party shouting or...
othile mhlawumbe okhona kumcimbi lapha nememeza
It doesn't, in the parable it doesn't say so, but I believe so. It must be somebody of the bridegroom that knows the time is near, that have information that the others doesn't have, the 10 virgins doesn't have.
So just want to make sure we get straight. There's a house here,
kunendlu la
and who's in the house?
ubani osendlini
10 virgins.
iy'ntombi ezilishumi
And I'm going to say someone's outside,
ngizothi-ke khona ongaphandle
and who's that?
ubani loyo
Someone who gives the cry.
yiloyo omemezela lokukhala
The 10 virgins expected the bridegroom to come earlier.
le y'ntombi ezilishumi belindele umyeni ukuthi afike masinyane
They get tired and they go to sleep.
bayakhathala bagcinele olala
This person stays on watch,
lo ngaphandle ulokhu ebhekile
and when they're all sleeping,
uma bonke sebelele
the person says,
lo ngaphandle bese batshela ukuthi
the bridegroom is coming.
ubesethi umyeni uyeza
So why did they say that at midnight, not 11 or 1?
kungani besho lokho ebusuku kungabi ngabo 11 noma ngabo 1
Not sure. So there's the land and there's a hill over here.
na lizwe bese kuba yintaba laphaya
At midnight, is the bridegroom there shouting, and this person can hear the bridegroom?
ngabe ebusuku umyeni ulapha loya uyamemeza uyezwa umyeni ememeza
Or is the bridegroom here and the person can see the bridegroom?
noma umyeni uphezulu entabeni lo memeza uyakhona ukubona umyeni
I can only take what the parable says.
I'm only doing that too.
No,
Happens a lot.
I want to explain something. So, if the bridegroom had screamed, then would not that other person by the house heard the bridegroom himself? And then he would have said, the bridegroom screamed, I'm coming. So it must be somebody that saw the bridegroom coming. And
This is the only person that's awake, the one by the house.
yes.
So they either see or hear.
kufanele ukuthi loyana bememeza uyambona umyeni ngapha ememeza ukuthi uyeza kodwa ungaphandle lo omemezana
And maybe I intertwined the see and hear too much because we know it's a message.
That's fine. What we say, we know it's a message. Who's giving the message?
ubani onikezela nomlayezo
Not that in
1 second.
akuzona iy'ntombi ezilishumi
Sorry.
Okay. There's 3 groups. 1, 2, 3. The virgins, the person, and the bridegroom.
kunamaqembu amathathu iy'ntombi ezilishumi ilo memezayo bese kuba umyeni
Who's giving the cry?
ubani
Just tell me
unikezela
the number.
And the second.
Number 2.
lwesibili
Who's giving the message?
ubani onikeza umlayezo
Give me the number.
unikeza inombolo
Don't help her.
Well, a crowd.
Just give me the number. Who's giving the message?
unikeze nje inombolo kuphela ubani unikeza umlayezo
Number 2.
Yes.
So just want to clarify that the message is the cry.
Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely.
umlayezo ikona kukhala.
And that cry or that message is being given
Lo mlayezo noma lokukhala ikona mlayezo onikwayo.
because the bridegroom is almost there and can either be heard or seen.
Uthi umyeni usefikile kodwa uyezwakala futhi uyabona.
All good with that?
Yes.
Cobus, you wanted to say anything? All sorted out now? Anyone else? Yes.
Okay, I was thinking that the 10 virgins are in the house.
So I put the 10 virgins in the house. I'm not saying they're literally there. I just invented that. So carry on.
Into bezisho ngiyifake nje endlini hayi ukuthi ngempela ngozi khona endlini.
And then there's one who's outside.
And there's one who's outside.
So, taking this like in a literal way where it's in the night, right? So this person outside could have seen and heard, because the bridegroom will not be alone.
So the bridegroom is not alone. It's dark and it's midnight.
Yes.
Umyeni akekho yedwa kusebusuku and kuphakathi ubusuku.
So the one who's outside could have seen like a light. Remember, it's night, it's dark, so they have lights to show their way. So they could have seen the light and heard the screamings of those people with the bridegroom.
Okay, so they could see the light and hear. I'm pretty sure, almost sure, that they have lights and that they're singing. Okay? We're all good? Good. Erica?
In the Jewish time period, of that time period, there was a thing that the bride did. She put a lamp in the window that the bridegroom can see to go to her.
So there's a lamp in the window.
Yes.
Okay. So, the midnight cry, who's the bridegroom? Jesus? Who's the 10 virgins? Us? Someone said us? And this is Elder Tess, I presume, yeah? All good? Yeah? When did Elder Tess in 2018 say Jesus is coming? I can see him. I don't mean that in a silly way. I mean, where in your message does she talk about that? The near coming of the close of probation, Jesus is about to come, the world's wrapped up. I just don't recall the midnight cry having those properties to them, to it. Okay, midnight cry, Milton.
So that parable was fulfilled in part in two histories, the history of Christ and the history of the Millerites.
So this parable was fulfilled in the history of Christ and the history of the Millerites.
And in those two histories, they were expecting the literal coming of Christ. So the virgins were giving a cry of His coming.
So in those histories, they were expecting the literal coming, and the virgins were giving this cry.
But in our time at the end, we know that there is a test before His second advent. So in our time, it has to be the Sunday law first, which is trying to be coming, which we know after that, the second advent comes after.
So in our time, we know that there are some prerequisites before the second advent, and they have to be considered. Is that what you said?
uKristu ezokwesibili kunezehlakalo okumele zenzeke
which is the Sunday law, you said.
okuyi-Sunday law.
So tell me what the midnight cry was. The message, what was it?
Empeleni umlayezo wokukhala kwasebusuku uyini empeleni? Wawuyini?
Because it wasn't Jesus is coming.
Kwangasiko ukubuya kukaJesu.
Milton? We've got lots of people. You can all participate. We already had the people at the front doing stuff. Sorry?
For me, it's a Sunday law.
Sunday law. So she said at the midnight cry message, the Sunday law is coming.
Umlayezo wokukhala kwasebusuku uthi Jesu yeza.
That's it. That was the midnight cry message.
Umlayezo wokukhala kwasebusuku lo.
My friend and then Tata.
I think the midnight cry message was a message of effect which was warning us to come out of conservative mindset of patriarchy.
So the midnight cry message was a call to come out of conservative mindset and patriarchal mindset. That was for you the midnight cry.
Ngicabanga ukuthi umlayezo wokukhala kwasebusuku kwawukuthi masiphume emqondweni lo ongakhululekile bese siya nakunhloko bese singena emlayezweni wokulingana.
I'm always tempted to say come out of Babylon, but that means you were in Babylon if I do that. If you're going to say come out of patriarchy, I'm forced to put Babylon, aren't I? Okay, I have to do it, sorry. So you're in Babylon. I'll put mindset. Maybe that can get us some wiggle room. And you said, conservative and patriarchy. So you're saying the midnight cry message said, come out of this wrong mindset that you have. That's it?
Just to add, it was actually our understanding of the Sunday law, the message.
Explain that a bit more. I'm not sure what you're saying.
Both what Milton said and what Patrick said is that we had a wrong mindset of what the Sunday law is.
So the midnight cry is going to fix this conservative mindset and fix what the great test is, or the mark, and corrects both of them. Is that what you said?
As much as we're in a different dispensation from Ellen White and the Millerites, we still had some same thinking as the Millerites, that there was going to be some sort of a law, which might not be a Sunday law, but a law which is going to be passed, that's going to mark the Sunday.
So, even though we had developed another understanding, we still held on to many Millerite concepts or models. Is that a fair summary? So someone summarise what the midnight cry message did or is or was.
Looking at the parable, what I done, but the person who cries gives people who are sleeping a warning that the bridegroom is coming, but then the thing about bridegroom coming is that there's a door that's about to be shut. So what Elder Trace does is that she segments the virgins into different.
So in the parable, there's a cry given,
Emfanekisweni kusho kunokukhala okunikezwayo.
and it's a warning, you said,
Yes.
Isexwayiso sho njalo.
and the door's about to be shut.
Umnyango usuzovalwa.
Carry on past that, past the door.
Yeah. So what Elder Trace does is that she segments the virgins into let's say lines, whereby it says so these virgins, they come as the priests. You can see them as Levites, and you can see them as Levites.
So she compartmentalizes the virgins, puts them in some kind of order,
Uhlela ke nama ley'ntombi ezilishumi ayihlele ngohlelo oluthize.
So for the first group, the priests,
I don't need to go into the details, I just want to know what the midnight cry was as a concept.
Angiqondile ukuthi ungene kwemininingwane ejulile kodwa ngifisa ukwazi nje ukuthi ngokusobala ukuthi umlayezo wokukhala usukuyini.
so basically it tells them that there's a door that's imminent.
A door, there's going to be a shut door.
Kuzoba nomnyango ozovalwa.
And she actually puts dates for the doors that are.
You tell me when the shut door is.
Ungasazi ukuthi ukuvalwa komnyango kuningi.
So for the priest it says 2019.
Ngasho ukuthi kungo-2019.
Any more?
Yeah. So.
Is that right? 21?
Yeah. So in other words, she.
Any more?
That's a door.
You mentioned 3 groups. I'm expecting a third door.
So there's 2021.
I got that.
Then 2024.
2021 kanye
Okay.
2024.
Any more points?
Yeah, so basically she from the parable, these guys who are sleeping.
They're not guys, by the way. There's some women there. In fact, in the parable, they're all women.
They're always. They have to clean their lips and get ready to meet it, right?
Okay, thank you. Did Tess mention 19, 21 and 24? You said she said the shut door. Did she give you when the shut door is happening? Because you inferred that she did. She gave you 19? You said yes? She gave you 21? And she gave you 24? She didn't give you 24. Russell. He said trim lamps. Go ahead.
Okay. If we look at Matthew chapter 25.
What's that?
Matthew
Matthew 25 is the parable of the 10 virgins.
I think it was the duty of the one who gave the cry to tell the virgins that.
So it was the duty of the person who cried to tell the virgins.
I don't think it was the duty of that person.
You said it was.
Yeah.
I just copied what you said. Oh, we've got to translate.
To like tell them that the bridegroom is coming.
So, duty or not duty?
No.
Start your sentence again.
Yeah, I don't think it was the duty
So it's not the duty of that person to tell the virgins that the bridegroom's coming.
Asiyo umsebenzi womlindi ukutshela intombi eselisho ukuthi nangu umyeni esefikile.
Because from the beginning of the journey, they actually knew that the bridegroom will come.
Because right from the start, the virgins knew that the bridegroom was coming.
Ngoba ekuqaleni kusho ukuthi intombi bezazi ukuthi umyeni uyeza.
Yeah, but there's a point when actually the coming delayed.
The coming gets delayed.
Ukuza lokhu kuyaphuza noma kuyahlehlisa.
They sleep and they don't know when, but they know that he needs to come, but they don't know when.
They don't know when he's coming and they fall asleep.
Bayalala bese bangazi ukuthi nomyeni uzawufika nini.
All the steps you're doing, we already know. I'm not sure what the point you're making.
So my point is, the duty of that person was to let them understand how soon.
So the person has a duty, and the duty is what?
To make them understand how soon the bridegroom is about to come.
So the duty of the person is to tell the virgins when the bridegroom is about to come.
Kusho ukuthi umsebenzi womlindi ukutshela intombi ukuthi umyeni usazofika.
Yeah, and when it comes to us, we already knew that actually the son-in-law is coming.
We already knew the son-in-law is coming.
Yeah, from the first.
Bese sazi ukuthi le son-in-law izawufika.
Yeah, but we were actually not aware of its nature and probably how soon it is.
Also what?
How soon it is.
How soon it was.
Empeleni ngicabanga ukuthi besingazi ukuthi i-son-in-law ibuya kanjani futhi izawufika nini.
And Elder Tales told you how soon it was.
And what other taste did
Did she tell you how soon it was?
Yes.
Yes. I must have missed that study.
Okay, she had to point out the movements which were already taking place that these are the movements which are going to bring the son-in-law.
She speaks about movements which are going to bring about the Sunday law. Okay?
Yeah, and she had to point at them that they're actually present.
She tells us that they're already here,
Yeah, and
which we already knew. You didn't already know that the threefold enemy is already here. Sure you did. But you maybe was looking at some different enemies. Like the UN.
yeah, she pointed at them and to actually show us that we are looking to we expected the son-in-law from actually the wrong side, and she had to show us that where the son-in-law is coming from is the other side.
We were looking at the wrong side, and she's going to tell us it's a different side. What's the side?
We expected it to come from the left wing.
So you expected it to come from the left wing, and she's going to tell you it's come from the right wing. So you thought the Democrats were going to bring in a Sunday law. You really thought that?
Yeah, because their views and our views when we are conservative.
So in 2016, before the Midnight Cry message, the fight between Clinton and Trump, when this movement was teaching that the last president would be Trump,
Ngalesikhathi le movement ifundisa ukuthi uTrump uzoba umongameli wokugcina.
You didn't think that that president was going to bring in a Sunday law.
Wawacabanga ukuthi lo mongameli uzoletha iSunday law.
You thought it was going to be someone else.
Wacabanga ukuthi omunye umuntu.
Look, the type of the Sunday law that we actually thought that it will come from.
I'm not talking about the type of the Sunday law. I'm talking about the side. I'm just saying, 2 years before the midnight cry message, the movement was already teaching the sides. And it was only Elder Jeff's prejudices that stopped that developing into a proper, clear understanding. Just about the sides. Because we spoke about that either yesterday or the day before, I think. Okay, so I'm going to move on a little bit. Before I do that, I'll take 2 questions. About 4 questions. We'll start at the very back.
Okay, so you said we should summarize what the midnight cry message was.
Yes, summarise what the midnight cry message is, please.
Midnight cry message.
In my simple mind, I think that the midnight cry message was to tell us just change your worldview.
Okay, so the midnight cry message says, change your worldview. Who is this? Us. Okay, next person.
So I want to say the midnight cry message was telling us that the message is about righteousness by faith. So we are changing from understanding that it's to do with the Sabbath, now it's to do.
So you're saying the midnight cry message was teaching us the message of righteousness by faith as opposed to the Sabbath. Is that what you said?
Yeah, how we treat one another now.
How to treat one another. So, did you ever believe that the Sabbath was the seal of God?
Yes.
Do you still believe that it's the seal of God? Just asking him, my friend, do you still believe it's the seal of God?
It is not our test.
I didn't ask you that. I asked you, do you still believe it's the seal of God?
No.
Okay, so you don't believe it's the seal of God. So you don't believe it's the seal or the mark of God's righteousness.
In our history now.
Okay. So in the time of Christ, what was the great test then? What was the great test that Jesus brought to the people?
The message was different then, but it was to do with the kingdom.
It was the great test was to do with the kingdom.
I'm not sure how to treat one another. I think Christ was teaching the same thing, something like that.
Same thing as Elder Tess.
It's how to treat one another.
Okay? And all of his physical parables that he's doing, his life, is all centered around what subject?
yonke imfanekiso leyo nempilo yakho uJesu Kristu empeleni ingasiphi isihloko.
We should all know
Sonke sifanele ukwazi.
Sabbath keeping.
Kuphathele nokugcina kweSabatha.
You go to almost every conflict, it's all about how to keep the Sabbath. And then in the midst of all of that, Jesus gives the new law, which is the law of how to treat one another properly. I think we're on the wrong track when we start trying to separate Sabbath keeping from how to treat one another. Okay, next person. There was no one else?
Yeah.
Yes?
I want to say the summary of the Midnight Cry is the Midnight Cry is a refinement message.
It's a refinement message.
Yeah. It refines our understanding of the Sunday law.
So it changes doesn't refine it, it changes our understanding of the Sunday law.
Yes. So it addressed also the when and the what.
The when
Yeah, the when.
And the what.
Yes.
But in 2018 we weren't told when. Elder Terry has stood up and said when, not Elder Tess.
Yeah, it wasn't explicitly explained in 2018. The way I thought that it was addressed through identifying the agitation period, which is
The what?
the agitation period, which is the time of the Levants.
Sure, I agree that Elder Tess was giving all the things that you've just said about the agitation, the signs of the times. But everybody, before, during and after Elder Tess, knew that the time is near. She helped clear many things, many misconceptions. She still doesn't give a when.
I'm saying the when was in the symbol 723.
Sure, the symbols don't give you dates. What she was doing, if you're going to start using symbology, that's what the movement has done. That's what Elder Jeff was doing. If you'd asked Elder Tess, give us the date, she would have just said, I don't know, I presume. Okay, I'm going to move on.
So, with Elder Tess, right? So she came and she was like, she came in the land of the priest. She was like, there was a Sunday law and we didn't see it. So, the person.
Sorry, there's a Sunday law and we don't. Tell me what the Midnight Cry message is.
The Midnight Cry message is telling us about the shut door.
The Midnight Cry message is telling us about the shut door. What is the shut door?
The shut door is to tell people that.
No, just tell us what the shut door is.
The shut door is a close of probation.
Close of probation. And the Midnight Cry told you about what close of probation.
It told us that 2019 and we're supposed to, people didn't really understand,
So it tells us that 2019 is the close of probation.
and you can start asking, okay, and she comes and say that you are you're in a wrong side of the issue and you don't really understand. For people to know that there's a shut door, they have to understand why is there a shut door or what does it involve. So what Elder Tess did was to say that there's going to be a shut door, and the shut door is going to be regarding this. If you,
I'm not sure what you're saying. You're repeating yourself. She says there's a shut door and you need to prepare. I got that.
yeah,
That's it? Or
yes,
okay. Let me just ask you a question about this shut door in 2019. And you need to prepare before the door shuts. What happens if you wait till 2020? After the door is shut. Before you answer that one, who's the door shutting for? For the priest. So, you're a priest. 2018. She says next year the door's going to shut. And you say, I'll wait a bit longer to prepare. I'll start getting ready in 2020. What happens? You're too late? Too late?
yes.
You can't prepare after 2019.
As a priest, yes. I actually, yes.
So you're lost now.
No.
So if you wait, then you're not lost? Not sure? Just want to clarify for everybody. Wherever you want to think 2019 was, or 21, or 24, they're not real shut doors. They're not closed of probations. Many people lost their way over that issue in the past. Just because we called it a shut door, or the close of probation, there was no doors that were shut. Okay, let's try and summarise.
Can I please share my thoughts?
I didn't see your hand, I'm sorry.
Okay, what I think the Mina Crime message is that it awakened us to the subject of the issue of gender. And I think that's what we were sleeping on.
That's it?
That's it.
Yep. So I think we've got that back here. So it awakens us to the subject of gender. So I don't think we're going to be able to finish because we've run out of time, but I just want to make a couple of comments. What are the 10 virgins supposed to be doing? We've got 1, 2, 3. What are the 10 virgins actually supposed to be doing? They're supposed to be doing the job of number 2. And there shouldn't be a number 2.
and kwamele ngabe khona number 2.
So those 10 virgins are lazy, they sleep. And then someone takes their place. Just to remind us of that point. So the parable teaches, and I think several people brought this out. Someone brought it out here. About trimming of the lamps. So when this cry is given, that says we can see and hear the bridegroom coming, it gives you enough opportunity or enough time to wake up. Someone else said here, wake up. And to prepare. So I just want to summarize all of this. I think I'm just going to go with this one here. So the midnight cry message was a message to change our worldview in preparation for the coming of the bridegroom. And those virgins that don't prepare in time get left out of the procession. So, if we're okay with summarising, the midnight cry message is to prepare us to enter into the feast, of course, the wedding, but it's an opportunity for us to change our worldview, or in the parable, to prepare for the bridegroom to come. Are we all okay with that? We've run out of time. Let's close this prayer.